Welcome back, everybody, to the the actual first, scheduled. We're going to try to pick a theme, Nerds with Chainsaws podcast, with your hosts Dalton Wright and Brett Drogemeyer.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming where we're not just doing random ramblings.
Yeah, no shit. Um, to anybody with keen ears that actually listens regularly, I might sound a little clearer now. I have upgraded. I've upgraded my setup. I've actually went and got a full-fledged boom arm with a I call it the microphone condom. It's a sleeve I put over it. It's made of foam. I guess keep vibrations lower, I suppose. It did come with a pop filter, but I am not currently using it. If it seems necessary, I'll put it on. But with all the reviews for the Blue Snowball mics, which is what we are both using, they said you don't really need the pop filter. It's kind of overkill.
They're decent microphones for how affordably priced they are.
You actually can't even, I don't think, can get these blues anymore. I think you can only get the ices. Because not LG. Yeah. Logitech bought out Blue. And they still sell the Snowball Ice, but I don't see the normal Blue Snowball on there anymore.
Got a collector's item.
I do. I think my next mic will probably be the Yeti XR or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever the fancy version of the Yeti is.
I don't plan on upgrading really anytime soon. This one works perfectly fine for what we're doing right now, so.
Oh, I'm not in a hurry to do it at all. I went looking a couple weeks ago, and that's what I could find on their site was they weren't selling the normal Snowball anymore, but they still had all the different varieties of Yetis. And so I was like, if I upgrade, I'll get the fancy Yeti, like the $150 one.
Yeah.
But the Snowball was like $30, and for $30, it's a pretty good mic.
Definitely way
Especially
better.
being it's like a cardioid mic, just a single driver mic.
Yeah. It does a pretty good job.
But to keep with tradition, I am finishing off my stock of Red Stripe. I'm actually halfway through my first one here before he got on.
I've also had one before I started. That's because it is the 3rd of July, so I don't have work tomorrow. I'm assuming you don't either.
I'm off until Tuesday, actually, because I'm taking Monday off.
Nice.
And we don't work Fridays over the summer here, so.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yep, 10-hour shifts. So I don't go back to work till Tuesday.
Yeah, I have tomorrow off. But I found something new at the liquor store. It's a limited release Shiner Lemonade Shandy. It is a beer brewed with agave and with lemon and natural flavors added. And then on the back, it says Shiner Lemonade Shandy is brewed with agave and a blend of premium two-row and wheat malts for a crisp, light-bodied brew, topped off with refreshing lemonade that is also brewed at Spetzel Brewery. So it sounds pretty good.
How you liking it so far?
I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. I'm
I
opening
thought that
it.
was what you had.
No, I was finishing off some other drinks before.
Ah.
So I have not tried this one yet. I'm going to actually use the very cool knife that I got at the wedding this weekend that the groom gave me, Mr. Colton Farah.
Is it a bottle opener knife?
It is a really nice actual, it's got like a 2.5-3 inch blade. Nice little everyday carry knife, but it has it has a bottle opener built into it. He's like, this is for the wedding. This is so you can open your drinks tonight. I'm like, well, hell yeah, brother. Thank you.
Hell yeah, brother.
Because I was actually in the wedding, so
yeah.
As an usher, he gave it to everyone who was in the wedding. I was like, sweet. Yeah, it's a good knife. He's like, it's not super nice because I want you to not worry about using it, but it'll cut. I thought the bottle opener would come in handy tonight, and it's a decent knife. I was like, hell yeah, sweet.
How was that wedding?
That was a very fun wedding.
A lot better than the other one.
Oh yeah, way better. Yeah, so this is like Hell. What is this? This is Helldivers and Weddings, like part 3 now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it was a very fun wedding. Got to see a lot of people I haven't seen for a while. It's very interesting to see because the two people that got married are friends of Cassie's, and I've just kind of grown to be friends with them too. You know, just hanging out. But our friend groups, like from people we know from like Hayes and just like all over the place, is actually like pretty overlapping. So I saw like several people I knew from like 4-H way back in the day and stuff like that. So I got to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. Yeah, and it was fun. It was a good wedding.
Right on.
Yeah. After the wedding, the couple of the bridesmaids and groomsmen jumped into the pool at the hotel with their suits and dresses still on. So that was fun too. Yeah, it was just an overall good time.
Hope you all got the deposits back.
I don't know. I know the bridesmaids bought the dresses, so they don't have to worry about it.
Nah.
If they want to ruin it, it's their own thing. But I'm pretty sure the suits were rented.
Nah, if they got it from a good rental like the one I do here, they cover stains, they cover accidents, as long as it's not like fucked beyond repair. So, but I suppose we should get on with today's scheduled topic.
Anyway, I'm gonna touch on this beer 1 second before we do.
All right.
It's really good. It tastes like a lemonade. You can get a little hint of the like wheat beer in it, but it's mostly lemonade. It's almost like a Mike's Hard. It's probably halfway between like a Mike's Hard lemonade that has like no beer flavor to it and just like a normal like what is it, like Leinenkugel summer shandy that has a little stronger beer taste, but you can still get the lemon in it. It's probably halfway in between those two. It's pretty good.
Well, aren't Mike's like seltzers, not necessarily beers?
Yeah, they're not like, they don't have like any actual beer in it. It's just hard lemonade.
Yeah.
It's not quite that lemonade-y, but it's also not quite as beery as like a normal shandy is. So it's like halfway in between. It's really enjoyable, actually.
Alrighty. Well, on to our promised programming. We didn't get quite everything done. We haven't even touched on the tournament side of things for Helldivers for ranking the weapons, but we got what we could done with the automatons. There are just a few weapons we couldn't get to, chiefly the very last page of Cutting Edge, which is the Blitzer and the Dagger, but I've heard the Blitzer's pretty good against bugs, not bots, and Dagger's kind of shit overall, so
yeah,
not missing too much there.
Haven't ranked.
But we didn't.
We got everything else.
But we obviously didn't go past Cutting Edge, so like Democratic Detonation, Polar, whatever the fuck that's
Polar
called.
Patriots and Viper
Polar
Commandos.
Patriots, Viper Commandos. We couldn't touch on it all, so we'll probably update the list in a few months from now, probably with some more stuff. But starting off, we'll just start with the base loadout, I guess.
Liberator.
Starting with the Liberator, of which we set at an A.
Yeah.
It's your first weapon, and by God, you could play the whole game with it if you wanted to.
Very viable.
Good for when you're getting swarmed by really anything.
Good.
And if you have the time to line up your shots and land headshots on your Devastators, it'll drop them in like 4 shots. So
good range, good damage, good amount of ammo. Just really nothing bad about it. It's just
There's nothing bad. It doesn't have any
there,
gimmicks.
yeah.
Just
There's nothing exceptional about it, but there's also nothing wrong with it.
which gives it just you can use it whenever you get tired with using the new shit and want to just go back to basics. No problem with that. You can. I guess I should preface. We played all of this on Has 6 or difficulty 6.
Yeah, difficulty 6,
Went back to
automatons.
Deeprock terms.
Has 6, yeah.
Yeah, hazard levels. We chose 6 just because that's what they dropped the super samples to. So we figured that's where most people are going to be playing.
I mean, that's where I generally play as well. If I'm just playing solo or with randoms, I usually choose like around there to play. If I just want to have a relaxing kind of fun time with a little bit of challenge still.
Yeah, it's where most of your player base is going to be. You get all of the type of rewards. It still gives you a bit of a challenge. You're not fighting fucking factory striders every 12 seconds. And 7 up is hard. It's really hard. You really got to kind of focus and be good at the game. Most people aren't going to be all that great. I'm not saying we're all that great. But we just chose where we think everyone is going to kind of end up. So,
it's a nice, yeah, it's a nice middle ground difficulty.
Liberator, A tier. Moving on to the sidearm, though, which is... I always forget what the hell it's even called.
I don't even remember its name.
I have the game pulled up so we can look at it. The Peacemaker.
Yeah, that one. The little semi-auto sidearm.
The Peacemaker we put at D.
It's not very good compared to other things you get not too far in the future in the unlocking list.
It's definitely not just completely unusable, but it's a sidearm for a reason. You really only want to switch to that when you run out of ammo, and it's your last resort, or your mag ran out, and there's like a light unit or two left, and you're just like, all right, fuck you guys, pop pop.
Yeah. It's really a last resort kind of weapon. You don't want to be using that to really take out things if you don't have to.
But can still kill with a decent time to kill, so it squeaks in at D tier. Now on to the last part of your standard kit, the HE grenade. I think it's the HE. Yeah. We threw that one at a B tier.
Yeah.
I guess it's just decent.
It's good. I used it for a while until I unlocked impact grenades.
Yeah, there really wasn't a much better option leading up to that. We'll touch on that later, but
yeah, well, that's later down the list, but it's not
really with you're taking out holes with it. Fabricators bug holes.
It's all right for taking out groups. It'll take out bug holes. It's pretty standard grenade.
I don't think I ever actually used the HE grenade as an offensive tool. I think I always, unless I guess when I was first starting out and I was facing like heavy devastators for the first time, it's a good way to get around their shields when you're not that good at your aiming yet. But I think I pretty much solely used them for taking out bases.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
there
we go.
I've used them to take out some groups of enemies, but it's not fantastic at it by any means. But anyway.
that will move us on to page 1 of Helldivers Mobilize, the standard War Bond or Battle Pass. And we'll just keep on grenades for a second. The G6 frag grenade.
Before we started to make this list, I had never used that thing.
I had never even equipped it.
Yeah.
So this was a first impressions for us on this one, and we were a little let down. It ranks just below at C tier for bots. It it could be viable against like sometimes the game just decides to spawn like 23 standard troopers just standing around for no reason. Chuck that bitch in there. It might be okay. Because it has a higher it has a higher radius but less damage. But I mean, I personally just thought it was a worse version of the HE.
Yeah, it's not as good at blowing up bug holes, or not bug holes, but like bot fabricators and stuff like that. But you chuck it in a group and it does all right on bots. I think the frag would really shine on bugs though, where there's a lot more there's a lot more light armored, like swarm type enemies than there are on bots. Bots have a lot more armor, so I think that one will do a little bit better on the bug list. But for bots, it's just kind of basically a worse version of the HE.
The deciding factor for me on putting it just below was actually against Scout Striders. The HE using on Scout Striders, if they're in the radius to be hurt, chances are you're gonna kill the pilot. With the frag, there was a couple of times where the pilot didn't die. It staggered the Strider, but it still lived, and I had to chuck another. I was like, okay, that's not very good economy. So
yeah.
Moving on to our next gun, the Punisher pump action shotgun, which we actually put at an A.
I never really used the Punisher all that much either.
See, for a little bit, I started maining it because they updated it a while back and added stagger force to it. In the same vein, they also took away stagger from the slugger, and we'll get to that. But with that added stagger, you can just bully the heavies. It doesn't matter if you hit an actual part that can hurt them. If you're hitting the upper chest plate, all of the bullets are bounced. But it will stagger them, which just lets you get up close, put around in their head, and they're out.
Yeah, and it's like a one shot or a one tap to their weak point, their skull thing.
Yeah, and like heavy devastators, if new players are going to struggle with heavies, I think. And as long as one of those pellets clips anything that's not protected by that shield, it staggers them, and you can run up and you can just keep them permanently locked until they're dead.
What do we have this one ranked at again?
At A, same as Liberty.
Yeah. So I was gonna say it's pretty good. Are there better options?
New players.
Yeah. For new players especially, it's really good. But once you start unlocking more weapons, there are better options. I think that's why we had it at an A tier.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, and with the rounds reload for
that's
for people who get into the game, it's not going to be that big. Actually, they might hate rounds reload because it's slow. But new players are going to be used to reloading after every fucking shot due to Call of Duty, and this one won't punish you for that.
Rounds reload can also be nice if you're in like a pinch situation, because you can just, as you're sprinting away, chuck a couple rounds and turn around, fire a couple more times.
Yeah. With that, we will move on to the Diligence, the first marksman rifle, which we put at a B tier. Let you touch on that one.
It's good. It's definitely usable. But the next version of it is just better in every aspect, and the downsides they tried to give it are not that big. So I think it's just a slightly worse version of the Diligence counter sniper. It's still completely viable if you want to run it, but once you get the counter sniper, I think it's just a no-brainer to not take the counter sniper over it. There's no real loss or benefit from not taking it.
I think new players are going to struggle with it a lot due to the fact that you have to be
Yeah,
accurate.
that too. You also have to be, especially with that one, because the regular diligence only has light armor pen, I believe.
Yep, light armor, so if you're hitting body shots on Devastators, you're just ricocheting, you're doing nothing.
Yeah, whereas the counter sniper one has medium armor pen, so even if you miss, you're still doing a little bit of damage. I don't think it's full damage, but
Now you get white hit markers, which means you're
yeah,
doing half.
half damage, but it's still better than nothing.
So where the normal diligence fails is if you get overwhelmed. If you get swarmed on and you don't have the ability to, or you don't have the time to line up your shots, you're going to be effectively doing 0 damage, and it gets bad fast. But it is a 2-shot to the head. If you can aim, you can 2-shot Devastators. Normal enemies, body shot up, they're down in 1. So B for usability. If you're good, it can be good. If you're bad, you're going to struggle, but there's just better options.
Yeah.
But on to our next sidearm. You get it on the second page of Mobilize to replace that shitty pistol.
The Redeemer.
This one we put all the way up to S, or not S, sorry, A.
It is a very good sidearm. Way better than the default one, the Peacekeeper Maker or whatever the fuck it was.
Peacemaker, I think.
Yeah. The Redeemer is a pocket SMG.
It is, or if they're point blank on you, pocket shotgun.
Yeah. It's very good.
All those moments in the higher difficulties where you start running into berserker patrols and you got like fucking 8 of them things chasing after you. If your primary runs out and they're close enough, switch to that thing. Don't even aim for the head, just mag dump their like waistline, that secondary weak point, and you can drop 2 of them in 1 mag.
Yeah. It's got really good fire rate. The only quote unquote downside is anything over like pretty close range. Oh, excuse me. Anything over pretty close range, you're not gonna fucking hit shit.
Yeah, you better well just switch it to single, which it has the same exact damage as the Peacemaker. So if you switch it to single fire, you effectively have the same weapon with more ammo. There's no downside.
There's
to,
no
to
downside.
bringing this.
Yeah. I was like, and most of the time, you're not gonna be taking out your pistol to do fucking long shots. It's gonna be a oh shit, there's fucking enemies on top of me. I need to whip this thing out and start gunning people down. So it's very good. Until I unlocked the revolver, that was the gun I ran. That's my secondary.
It'd make no sense not to.
Yeah.
Like I say, if you put it in single fire, it's the same gun, just better. So for that, it gets A tier. I'll go ahead and actually take this moment to touch on the Super Citizen weapon.
I don't have this, so I can't even give my opinion on it. I don't even know what it is. I don't think I've ever even seen it.
I've used it once, or it's this.
Oh, what the fuck is that thing?
It's the space P90 is what it's nicknamed. It's called the Knight, the MP98 Knight. It sucks donkey balls. You would think it looks really cool. It's got like a Damascus steel upper, wood finish grip, like.
It's got an insane fire rate too.
That's why it's shit. So, on paper, it looks really good. And the fact that it's one-handed, you can carry some of the objectives around and still use your primary. You can carry the shield and use your primary. On paper, it's good. But holy shit. Fire rate of 1,380 shots per minute. With a capacity of 50 bullets. If you hold your trigger down, it takes all of a second and a half, not even. And you've dumped the whole mag. It's fucking ridiculous. But due to that, its recoil is insane. You can't control it.
Yeah, that's the
On
thing.
paper,
That's the thing I'm seeing
on,
here on the recoil. The recoil's 20, which doesn't seem like a
it's nothing.
lot, but
The recoil's nothing. On the base Liberator, recoil's 15.
yeah, it has more recoil than that, which for something with that much fire rate's insane.
But I mean, even the Diligence has 35 recoil, and you can barely tell that in the scope, unless you're at like real long range. But Jesus Christ, it is effectively big Redeemer, which isn't a compliment because the Redeemer is a sidearm. It's your last resort. Your primary should not be compared to a sidearm.
Yeah.
So due to its complete lack of being able to control it, and just it can't pump out the damage you want because you can't keep it on target, you have to switch it to burst fire. Otherwise, you just can't do anything with it. It gets an F. I'm also factoring the fact that this costs real money. You can't just earn this one in the game. This is a thank you for supporting us. Here's a bonus weapon. It's shit. It's just there's almost nothing redeeming about it except for its looks. It looks awesome.
I was like, I think they should make it at least usable, you know?
Yeah, but due to the fact that I don't know how many people bought the Super Citizen Edition, but I have never seen this thing show up in a patch note.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's they just don't think it's worth the time, or they think it's like a funny joke gun of haha, check this fucking stupid fire rate gun. Or just gonna leave it that way because it's kind of funny.
I mean, it wouldn't take much to fix it. You just need to reduce the recoil. And it'd probably
Reduce the recoil or add a few more rounds to its mag, up it from 50 to like 80 or something.
I was like, I don't feel like it'd take too much to fix it. But then again, you know, it's not a gun that everyone's going to be able to have access to. So I don't know if it's just not one of their priorities or what.
Or drop the fire rate. I mean, the fire rate on the Liberator is 640, which, I mean, you can go through a mag pretty quickly at that.
I was like, I think the Sickle has the highest fire rate in the game besides that gun right now.
Sickle 750, and I mean its recoil's almost zero, so you're gonna notice that.
Because it's a laser weapon.
But aside from that, Liberator 640, you can keep that on target pretty well. I think they could drop the fire rate from 1380 to something like 11 or just 1,000 flat, and that would make it just so much better. You can keep it stupidly high, but rein it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So with that little tangent gone, was that the goddamn Call of Duty noise? Did you hear that?
No, I have your game muted.
Okay.
Or your stream muted.
It sounded like MW2, like when you're really hurt and you got the blood on the screen and it heals, and it makes that little zoom out noise.
Oh yeah.
That was weird.
Anyway.
But back on to Mobilize here. Keeping in SMGs, actually. The Defender. We have as an A tier.
It's very good. It's usable. If you want to run that as your primary, you definitely can. And it has the added benefit of being one-handed.
I really enjoy playing the Juggernaut with the Defender. Putting on the heaviest shit I can. Mainly the EOD suit, because I think it's funny. And rocking the Ballistic Shield. They fixed the Ballistic Shield a while back to actually have a hitbox that works. Instead of you still being able to be hit from the front. Now if you crouch, if you're aiming down sights having that shield out and you're crouched, enemies just won't even shoot at you. They'll just sit there and stare. And you can just mag dump them. It's great.
Yeah, it's because, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the Ballistic Shield counts as, like, cover and concealment. So, like, if you have it up, they can't see you. They just think you're like a box or something. Yeah, so that's why they won't shoot at you.
I didn't know if it was something like it could ricochet their rounds, and so if the AI is smart enough to be like, oh hey, we could kill ourselves shooting at this, so we're just not going to.
No, I'm pretty sure they just don't know you're there because they think you're an object.
That's pretty funny. I don't know if it protects you while it's on your back, if you're holding a different weapon.
I also don't. I haven't used that thing like at all. I don't think I've used it maybe one time.
I occasionally use it in conjunction with the defender to just have a funny round.
I mean, it can be a good combo.
Pretty viable.
Yeah, it can be a viable combo.
I was actually able to tank gunship rockets and like rocket devastator rockets by putting my back up against a wall, holding that shield out when the barrage came. I'd still get ragdolled, but I wouldn't go flying back and hit something else to hurt me. I'd take like a 20th of my health bar of damage, get back up and be right back at it.
Yeah.
So, defender, good. Oh, okay, next up, the original, the OG meta weapon, the Breaker. Take a guess at where we put it.
I think we put it at A.
B.
A or B, yeah.
We slotted the OG Breaker at B. Reason being,
ammo capacity.
It's ammo.
Yeah.
The damage is exactly how it was when it was the king, but they dropped its ammo by like half, upped its recoil, which
it doesn't make that much of a difference with a shotgun.
I mean, you can tell.
You can tell, but
the original Breaker basically had none, and it was just ridiculous. You could use it as a sniper if you wanted, but it can still be usable, but at higher difficulties, if you're getting overrun, it just doesn't have the ammo to keep up. With that being said, actually we'll skip that for now. We'll go back to grenades. The Impact.
S tier.
S tier.
That thing is hands down the best grenade in the game.
If you're running bots, there's no reason that you shouldn't be running Impacts. Period.
They're just so good.
They are really hard to take out fabricators with due to the vents being angled. But you have other options to get rid of those stratagems. Support weapons, your autocannons, your anything rocket based. You can deal with fabricators in other ways. The utility of the Impact is just way too good.
It's a fantastic grenade. It's good at taking out. I was like, it can take out fabricators. It's harder to do, but it is just so good at taking out. It can take out striders. It can take out groups of enemies. It can take out or like stun, stagger, heavy enemies, do damage to them. It is just such a versatile piece of equipment. It's insane.
Can you hear that?
Hmm.
Can't say there's a no. The
kinda.
The frog's going ham.
Is that what that is?
That is a frog.
Oh. I'm also going to apologize for the fucking firecrackers going off outside right now. As we said when we started the podcast, it is the 3rd of July, so there will be plenty of fireworks going off in the background, and I apologize.
I haven't heard any get picked up on my end.
Oh, they can definitely hear it. I can see the audio spiking. Discord has good audio filtering, but OBS does not have quite as good. At least I haven't set it up to have quite as good.
So you gotta get it set up. I messed around for a while to get mine to eliminate the majority of my keyboard and mouse noise. I can still make it better, but right now I just have it doing like automatic noise cancellation through my CPU. I'm not sure how that magic works, but it works pretty well.
Yeah.
But Impact, S tier. Moving on to a weapon that I actually used as my main bot weapon when I first got it until I got something better.
This thing's kind of slept on, honestly.
It is, and I forgot how good it was. It might have been improved, actually. The Scythe. Energy beam weapon. We put it at an A.
I'd say that it's on the verge of being an S tier.
Infinite ammo is definitely a big plus.
Yeah.
I think the only thing keeping it from S tier is, and this is a problem with the other energy weapon too, we'll get to, just having to be precise with it. Like, I think it can hurt Devastators to the body maybe,
No, it can't.
but no.
No.
Okay, well,
It just gets absorbed.
headshots drop them in a second and a half.
Yeah.
Berserkers, it will damage to their body, but it might as well not. I was getting swarmed by him, and I think my shot was landing on its arm, and it just didn't fucking do a thing to it.
It's very good at range. Infinite ammo's nice. The downside for me is if you get swarmed, I was like, even though you can reload your ice, I think is what it's called. It's called the ice for the other one, but I don't know if
it's ice for that one too.
Yeah. Even though you can reload your ice, if you get swarmed, especially with the scythe, it's going to be a hard time.
It is a little rough to get yourself out of pinches, but it can get you out of that pinch.
It can, but it's difficult. And I think that's what keeps it from being S for me, at least. But like medium long range, I think just destroys if you can be precise with it.
The scope on it's real nice. It's just a real simple small dot, so it's really easy to set your sights on something. I didn't remember it being as good as it was, but if you're looking to change up your play style, try it out.
It's like I hadn't used it in a really long time, and yeah, it's pretty good.
If you're getting bored rocking your main weapon, or if you're following the meta and getting bored, switch it up with that. It's a fun experience. Its range is almost infinite, so it's really fun to pick shots from super far away. With that vein, that is page 5. That is the halfway mark of your base war bond. Impacts and the scythe, which I think is a pretty good. I think it's a pretty good midpoint, honestly.
Yeah.
Past the midpoint gets a little disappointing. I ain't even gonna lie.
Yeah. Next gun is.
But the next gun's actually better than I remembered it being. Page 6, Liberator Penetrator. It used to be bad.
It's still not great.
It's not great, but pre-patch, it would have been F.
Yeah.
But now it's sitting at a C. It can be used. There's far better options to use, but it is actually a usable gun now.
I'd almost give it a D tier. It's like yeah. It has.
I don't know.
It has a lot more recoil. It has less ammo, and the benefit of the damage boost isn't all that great. I mean, it's nice, but yeah,
technically it has less damage than the base Liberator.
Yeah,
but the higher armor
pen kind of makes up for it. So yeah, I give it a low C tier.
That higher armor pen basically just it means those junk shots with the the base Liberator that are hitting the armored plates on Devastators. You're at least now doing some damage.
Yeah, you're doing a little damage. So it's no longer
just 0.
Yeah, you're doing a little damage instead of just ricochets.
But the big thing that moved it from F to, okay, if you really wanted to use this, use it with a group so that you're your shitty gun can be made up for was them adding full auto. It was a burst
Oh
only
yeah,
when they
yeah,
put it in.
yeah. When I took it out the first time pre-patch, and I found out it was a burst fire because I didn't look at that. I was just like, oh cool, has extra penetration, and it was a burst fire. I was like, oh man, this thing's fucking terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was real bad. I I don't even think I made it off D-Day. The first time I used it, I think I landed in a pretty hot place, and I think I died there.
Yeah.
So, C tier, you probably shouldn't use it, but if you really want to, you can, especially if you're with a group. Actually, it wouldn't probably be a bad group weapon because you could target things other people can't. Like it could take out Strider legs.
I forgot about that. Yeah, it can do that. You can hit the little hub at the bottom of the legs and do damage.
So usable, but you should probably pick something else. Moving on, page 7 with the Diligence Counter Sniper. That one sits at an A.
Yep.
One rank above its predecessor.
It's just an overall better version of the normal Diligence.
I believe its downsides were possibly a little bit slower rate of fire, but the biggest thing was its ergonomics. It's slow to handle.
Slower to handle, and I think it has a little bit less ammo capacity,
It might.
if I remember right.
Maybe we could just check. It's not that hard to do. 15 shots versus the Diligence.
I think the Diligence has 20 standard.
20 shots. So,
Yeah,
yep.
so you get 5 less shots, but you also get medium armor pen.
So your missed shots are at least counting for something. You're still doing 60 damage on an armored shot. It's good. After I got the Diligence Counter Sniper, it replaced the scythe for me as my main bot weapon. If you can hit headshots, they're one taps.
It's one tap headshots. It's very good. And
You feel really cool when you do it too.
the slightly less ammo and the slightly worse handling, at least in my opinion, does not make the original one any better.
No.
It's just it's just a better version of the original Diligence. There's literally like no real noticeable downsides. I was like,
I think the only time you're going to notice it is if you get swarmed.
yeah, I was like, those 5 extra shots might help if you're getting swarmed, but then again, if you're getting swarmed on bots, there's probably going to be a heavy enemy in there, and you're going to be wanting to be doing some damage to it instead of none. So,
Well, the problem with being swarmed on bots is it's really hard to get away when that happens. With bugs, you're counting on it. That's their whole thing. Bots can use tactics, and if you're getting swarmed by them, you're kind of you did something wrong.
yeah,
Either you alerted a patrol you shouldn't have, or stayed around an area too long, or just couldn't hit your shots to kill things quick enough to keep dropships from coming. You get swarmed by bots, you're in a pretty bad spot, and you're going to not want a marksman rifle in that situation regardless.
yeah.
But on from there, okay, let's start with this one. Back into grenades.
Oh boy.
Page 8. This is a pretty expensive page.
You know what? For this grenade, I'm gonna have to take a break for a second and go get another drink because that's how bad it is.
I actually just finished mine. I'm going to crack my other one.
I left mine downstairs because it was a brand new case I bought, so they're not cold yet. But give me like 2 seconds. How's it going, everyone? We are going to once again be splitting this episode into 2 episodes, just because of how long it ran for. I think this episode ran for over an hour and a half, so we'll have 2 45-ish minute episodes out of this. One might be a little bit longer than that, but anyway, yeah, we're gonna split it into 2 episodes. So if you want to hear the rest of our thoughts about the weapons in Helldivers up to cutting edge. Tune back in next week on Thursday, and you can finish out listening to our thoughts about them. But anyways, guys, thank you for listening to the Nerds with Chainsaws podcast. We appreciate you all listening, and we will see you next week.